and welcome to tonight's edition of the John Peacock Coaches Show. I'm John Massoni, and I'm here again with head football coach for the Venice Indians, John Peacock. And Coach, tonight we're in a little different spot than we normally would be. Kind of quiet in here, but not normally a very quiet place. We're in the locker room for the Venice Indians.
Yeah, we're in the locker room. Actually smells pretty good. I don't know how we get it to smell pretty good. I think because we do laundry every night, but it smells nice in here. It's they're getting a remodel done at Off the Wagon.
Yes, that's why we're here.
Everyone needs to go check them out when the remodel's done next week. So they're redoing the floors and doing some other things cosmetically in there.
Yeah, I think a lot of times a lot of the restaurants take advantage of September, the month before the rush back to Venice to come from all the folks up north, and so they're taking advantage of that. And again, we do appreciate all their help that they give us every week, and for this year in particular. But again, a beautiful facility here. This is something that probably about 6 or 7 years old in here, I guess, as far as the locker room's concerned, or maybe a little less than that.
Well, the actual building was 52. I
think. So I had junior high school PE here,
so
this is a room I remember.
Yeah, and I think I want to say the locker room maybe was redone probably around 12.
It could have been.
Maybe?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Somewhere, yeah.
So about 6 or 7
years.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years. But it does, like I said, it's a great space. Plenty of room for the kids. I know they like it, and such pregame and whatnot. There's a lot of activity and music and whatnot because it's a good place for them to get there and get themselves right. And then
it's great because there's this open area and we get to get to look at the kids all in the eyes at the same time, and that's a nice. We like to have a little bit more room. We have some kids that share lockers, but it's nice to be able to look them all in the eye at the same time.
Yeah, and a great part about it is that just outside and down the pathway a little bit is where the JV and the freshmen are.
Right.
So they have their opportunity to have their space as well. So this whole facility, when they did the remodel, or the new school, I should say, they remodeled this building, and it sort of worked out well for us to have a nice football facility here.
Yes, for sure. It is nice, and the kids take pride in it, and we try to give them nice things, and just as long as they take care of it.
Right. With the week off, obviously no game to talk about, no score to talk about, whatever. But we had a few new things kind of happen in and around the program. We picked up a new sponsor, not only for our show, which is Jenkins Chevrolet, formerly known as Bill Buck Chevrolet, but
Correct.
Jenkins, the new group, took over, and they've gotten on board with their sponsorship, and we do appreciate that very much. And hopefully that's a relationship we put going forward for a long time.
Yeah, they said they want to continue that relationship, and they're all on board with everything, and they stepped up and they want to be a sponsor for the show, and that's also great news. And we look forward to continued support from them and a continued relationship with them, and it's something that's really worked out, and both hands, everyone,
right,
mutually beneficial there for both of us.
No, you're absolutely right. Because I think for the most part, you give them a chance to get their feet in the ground and look around and say, well, there's a relationship there and it's good, and we want to keep it going. And I think everybody sees, as far as most of the people in the community, a lot of things, it's such a give and take relationship.
Right.
Obviously we get something for that for what we need, and of course they get the community service and then the
Right.
exposure as well. Because I always say this in particular, with Venice High School football game, it's probably the biggest event in town, every
it's
year.
the biggest social gathering,
for sure. And that could be as many as 9 times a year,
Right.
that
and
kind
then,
of thing.
Monty's still on board there, so Monty's very passionate about our football program, and so we have definitely a good person in our corner over there.
Yeah, no doubt. Monty's always hitting me up for the stats and everything, so we try to help him out because he does do a lot of things for, it goes to we get it to the news outlets and different things, so all that kind of stuff really works out very, very well. So We're always happy with that. All right, Coach, we'll take our first break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about our next opponent. Friday night was going to be against the Riverview Rams. We'll talk a little about Riverview, what they bring to the table, and what we're going to, look forward to in that game. And then after that, we'll go and talk about where we are offensively and defensively this year, or how things have progressed, obviously from that first kickoff classic to where we are today, and we'll see how that's going. So with that, we'll do some commercial breaks and see you back here in a few minutes.
We also like to thank the following sponsors for making the show a possibility: Absolute Aluminum,
Neo Communities, because where you live matters,
Sarasota Orthopedics Associates,
and E.T. McKenzie. And a special thanks to Off the Wagon for hosting the John Peacock Coaches Show. And thank you to Jenkins Chevrolet, find new roads. And we're back here for the second part of the John Peacock Coaches Show. I'll say sponsored by Off the Wagon, and then what we're here at the locker room, the Venice High School locker room tonight.
I miss Off the Wagon. I can
Well,
tell you.
I'm a little hungry right now. I have to admit that. I was looking forward to my tacos again tonight, but we'll get back to that next week for sure. With that, Coach, Riverview Rams, 8A powerhouse, I would say, the last few years, and a local rival for many years here in Sarasota County. What can we look forward to from Riverview this year?
Well, like you said, they've been on the rise. I think if you look back in the late '80s, early '90s, Riverview was a powerhouse
Yes,
and
definitely.
larger programs in the state. They never won the big one, but they were always right in the contention. They've had some great players in the past, and they're on the rise again. They've played in the state semifinals last year. They lost to Mandarin in the state semifinals.
The eventual state champion, I
Right, the
believe.
eventual
Yes,
state
yeah.
champion, and then the 2 years prior they played for a regional championship. So they are a team that's deep in the playoffs every year in 8A. So we're gonna be facing a very good football team. There's no doubt in my mind about that, and they probably will make a run again in 8A as well this year.
Yeah.
Although there are some new teams in 8A that when the reclassification happens, so maybe they'll run into a buzzsaw there, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to continue to make a deep runs in the playoffs, and I'm watching their team on film, and it looks like they may be a little bit better than they were offensively last year. They have the quarterback is a
specifically,
two-year starter.
Yeah, got some new guys. Yeah.
I know they lost their big running back that was getting 30, 40 carries a game.
Ali Boyce,
Yeah. Correct. But they do have Michael Hayes, and they got a transfer from Cardinal Mooney that do run the ball very well and that are very talented. And the quarterback, like I said, he's a returner, and he's head and shoulders above where he was last year. I mean, he throws the ball much better. He's making good decisions, and they definitely. I was able to go see them live Friday night when they played Ridge Community, and you can tell that he does a real nice job of running the offense and has great command of it. They're able to go at a good tempo as well. Michael Hayes' brother, Amari Hayes, is their threat outsider receiver, and they also have a taller receiver, number 2. And I forgive me, I forget his name, but he's also a tall receiver that runs good routes and catches the ball well. So offensively, and Riverview's always known for their offensive line.
Yes, that's been sort of their hallmark for the
Right.
last couple of years. They put a couple of guys in the pros, and they put guys
Right.
into Division I programs all the time with that.
So they have a big offensive line, and they move the ball well. Obviously they are a run team. They're heavy run, but not as much as they were last year. They're a lot more balanced. So that's why I think that they're a better football team offensively than they were last year, because I think the quarterback is a little more comfortable throwing the ball downfield.
Sure.
They don't ask them to do a whole lot as far as getting the ball downfield, but they will take their shots. They do a nice job of running screens and trying to keep you off balance. So offensively, I would say that they're better than they were last year. So we're going to have a tough challenge defensively for sure.
Now their defense, again, another strong part to their team was always, again, the defensive line. What do they bring this year as far as defense is concerned?
Well, they have 3 returners on the defensive line. I think they would have had 4, but I'm pretty sure one of their defensive linemen transferred to Booker.
Okay.
But they have 3 guys on defense with BCS offers. 2 defensive linemen and an outside linebacker that can play really well, and they're very physical and they're big up front. So that will give us a challenge. But I don't think it's anything that we haven't seen, that our offense hasn't
Right.
seen, because we've, with the schedule that we've played, we've seen that up front, and I do feel comfortable with our offensive line. I think our offensive line is one of our stronger points. We have some kids that have a lot of experience there, and kids that are big and strong. So I think that'll be a good match. I think I'm really interested to see kind of how we match up with them as far as our offensive line versus our defensive line.
Yeah, because we've talked all year, preseason, even now, the O-line is really kind of what we've been depending
Right.
on. We knew that was going to be that was the steady Eddie in the equation, was knowing that a lot of guys coming back and a lot of guys with a lot of experience and a lot of guys with with some size, which is
Right.
really something that's been beneficial for us this year, especially playing some of the teams we've played. And that size really helped out down the road, or down on those
Right.
games, I should say. But
And their linebackers, they play hard. They get to the ball very well. They did have an injury last week. I'm not sure what the status is of the player that got hurt, but they do have some guys that have a lot of experience on defense. I want to say they only lost 3 guys on defense, and their secondary, they play hard. They run to the ball. Their corners are very good, and their safeties are. I think their safeties are the guys that are new, but they're coached well. They know where to be, and they get to the ball fast, and they play hard.
advantage for us, obviously, being at home. It's a big deal for
Yeah,
us.
it feels like we've been on the road for a long time.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
with the week off, and now and then the long drive to Jacksonville a few weeks
Yeah,
ago,
I mean-
and so all that stuff has been. It'll be nice to come home, and it looks like, knock wood, that we're going to be in good shape regards to the weather, as far as the weather's concerned.
Right.
So with the weather being because last year when we played them up in Riverview, the weather was bad.
Right.
We were in a quagmire.
Playing the swamp.
Yeah, it was bad. So I think we're going to be in a better situation. And I think I don't know if there was any advantage for one team or the other, but it's nice to be playing on a clean field with some nicer weather.
Yes, for sure. And like I said, it feels like we've been on the road, dating back to spring. Then we went to Lakeland, we went to Tampa Plant. We had one game here. It's been IMG. And
Right.
then other 2 games we've been to St. Pete, and then we just went to Jacksonville. So now, I mean, it seems like we've been on the road forever. So it's I'm excited about that for sure, to be at home and be in front of our home crowd, and I'm sure that they're excited to see us play as well at home.
Absolutely. With that, leading into tomorrow night, as far as the game is concerned, please come on out to Powell Davis Stadium. We need the support from everybody this week. Big
Yeah,
game,
and get
means
there
a lot
early.
to us locally. Obviously it's a big advantage for us to have a home field crowd. That's for
Right.
sure. So,
Right, sounds good.
okay. All right. With that, we'll be back here in a few minutes. We're going to talk about our offense and our defense leading into the Riverview game, and we'll see where that takes us going into the game. We'll be back here in a few minutes.
We also like to thank the following sponsors for making this show a possibility. Absolute Aluminum,
Neo Communities, because where you live matters,
Sarasota Orthopedics Associates,
and E.T. McKenzie.
And a special thanks to Off the Wagon for hosting the John Peacock Coaches Show. And thank you to Jenkins Chevrolet, Find New Roads. And we're back here at the Venice High School football locker room. And Coach, we left off, we were going to talk a little bit about maybe a sort of a mid-season, if you want to call it, look at where we are from where we started. We've faced, obviously, a national power in IMG. We faced a team a little bit down in St. Pete, and then we went and kind of got like your quick change scenario, a really good top team in the state in Jacksonville Trinity, coming out of those games 2-1 and looking forward to the rest of the schedule. How do you feel we've developed as far as the offense is concerned so far this year?
Well, I think offensively, we have really improved a great deal in the last 3 weeks. I think the Trinity Christian game really propelled us in the last 2 weeks of practice. We've had 2 weeks of practice, basically an off week before you play Riverview. So I really feel comfortable, and I think that our players are getting more comfortable in their system. Mm-hmm. We're able to go fast in the Trinity game when we were able to get some first downs, which I like.
Yes.
So I think we're in a really, really good spot offensively. I think the offensive line is really starting to do a good job in understanding what we're trying to do. Even though they are returners, we're taking steps of getting better. The receivers have a much clearer understanding of our plays and what we're trying to accomplish and how we want to run routes and where they need to be on the field. And I think that's probably the biggest improvement is, finally we feel we can line up and we're not questioning what route we have on this play, what the signal is, and we're able to go fast. We're able to know what we're doing.
I thought a big step in, you never want to see a player like Nico Del Costa get injured or have to come out of a game. There was like a little bit of that end of that first half against Trinity Christian where Ryan Overstreet came in and was going to play. He obviously had to play
Right.
at that point. But from that, when he came in halftime and right after that, it seemed like everything sort of gelled. I think the team looked around and said, "Hey, we got this." There's that moment of clarity, like they had to do it, and I could hear, not only from the fans' perspective, but from the coach's perspective, that play was there was a lot of positive. That play was run properly. That block, he blocked it right. This person's look how the receivers are blocking downfield. All that stuff started coming in. There was a lot of positive, feedback from what was going on in the field. So I think that was a huge step because there was no doubt that we were going to score. It was a matter of how and what we needed to do, and I think that translated on the field.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We made some big strides in that game offensively for sure, and like I said, these last 2 weeks in practice have been really refreshing, and you really have a sense of confidence, and not only as a coach have a sense of confidence in our offense, but I think the players have a much better sense of confidence in what we're doing and just the success that they feel that they can make. And going back to Nico and Ryan,
yes.
they're gonna see some action Friday night, and whether who starts or who doesn't start, we really haven't even made that final decision yet. And they both do some good things. They're both kind of different. Ryan's more of, like we've always said, he's more of a drop back guy,
sure.
and Nico's more of a dual threat guy. And but at the same time, we don't have to change the offense according to who's in the game. I mean, Nico may give you a little bit more in the run game, but it's not like we can't call those same runs when Ryan's in the game. So
yeah, and it showed. When Ryan ran a touchdown at the goal line,
right.
He got in, so he can do all those things. And so yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think probably for the rest of the team, they said, okay, we're good. Whatever happens, we can
no matter
get
who's
that.
in.
Right. And I think a lot of times too, even though the kids are in the program for a number of years and you got some senior leadership on the offensive side, it takes a few games to kind of have a gel because all the things we talk about is conditioning and everything else over the summer. Now it's live, and so you have to do it. And sometimes the learning curve is short, sometimes it's a little longer, But when it does sort of click in, I think everybody sort of knows their role.
And I think we're clicking right now, and I feel good about it. We have the district play starts the week after Riverview, so we'll see. We're gonna see where we're at against Riverview. I mean, they're going to be a quality opponent for us, and we'll see exactly where we're at. What do we need to go back and address? Where are we as far as personnel? Are there any changes we need to make in personnel? And it's going to be a fun game. Like you said, it's a rivalry, and
everybody knows each other.
Yeah. It dates back a long time.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing about it. So it's the Riverview Rams, but we have, like we were talking about earlier, their resume over the last couple of years. If it wasn't Riverview Rams, let's say it was somebody from the Panhandle, this would be a very high level, state watched game.
Oh, yeah,
you got two finalists from 7A and 8A. It's a marquee matchup. Just because we're only a few miles away from each other doesn't mean it's going to take it for granted.
If we were playing the 8A semifinalist in the north, it would be a huge matchup. There's no doubt about it. So it is a great game for this community and people to come out and see a good quality football game. And it's going to, they've had a tough schedule too as well. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
And that's a testament to them. I think they looked at it and said the same thing we said a few years ago. It's like, hey, if this is where we're going to go, we need to be battle tested.
Right.
And it's great that they can come a few miles and do it rather than have to go 4
to
hours to do it. Yeah, it's nice you can do it here. And I think overall you're starting to see that in over the past couple of years. For a run with Manatee for a long time, and then Braden River has had their moments here, and then Riverview. And so having those teams look, Charlotte has been a perennial playoff team as well. So it's nice to see that, and when you can play each other, I think sometimes the rivalries are where they are, but they really are helping. In the long run, it's helpful to get a team that wants to come up in the local and you can play them. It's a really great advantage. Offensively as well, we talked a little bit about a few things. Any one particular player or any particular situation that surprised you more than anything, or is this how you've seen the team from that perspective?
Well, I've seen there's been a lot of growth, and one DJ Escort, he's really, he's starting to get comfortable and starting to understand the offense, and he's going to be special. He's going to be a special guy carrying the ball, and he can do it now. And but Brian Taylor's been having a great year as well. But Brian's been in the system. He already knows the system. DJ is starting to feel more comfortable. And once you start feeling more comfortable, you can play faster.
Yes.
So he's made some big improvements, and I like where that's going. It's always great to have two backs. You should always have two backs because you never know when one goes down.
Well, even that in the last game we played, Brian had 31 carries. That's a lot of carries.
Yeah.
But DJ had 7 important carries. He was
Very
on that last
important
drive.
carries, yeah.
He was in there. So to have that luxury, if you want to call it that, is nice. And if you can get it somewhere where he's getting his 10 carries and Brian's getting his 25 carries, I mean, it's a great option.
Yeah, and then as far as the receiving core, Malachi is, him being in the system only for a short period of time, he's getting more comfortable. And once he gets to where like I'm comfortable with what's being called, I know what I'm doing. I mean, and we can get the ball to him, it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
It is going to be scary. He's a special player. I've said it before. I mean, he's got talents that I've never seen before. And once it all starts clicking, and he practices hard and does everything right, so that's going to be something that when it finally comes to fruition, it's going to be scary, and I'm hoping it does Friday night.
One of the things I looked at this year so far with the offense is that some of the younger players, skill position guys,
Miles Weston is another one who we were just getting ready to really, stick in our offense and be a big part of it. Came up and got injured in the St. Pete game, but he's back. This off week has helped him. He's practiced all week, so we're excited to have him back, and he's probably not ready to take on the load that we wanted him to backing up 3 weeks ago, but he is going to be able to take a little bit of the load, and we can start adding him.
One thing I will add, put on the offensive discussion as well, Connor Anderson, our place kicker.
They're doing fantastic.
I mean, like I said, that's such a different story about how he even became the kicker last year,
right.
through when Zach Sessa was injured. But his kickoffs have been, he's been pure,
great.
And then of course extra points and field goals.
His extra points and field goals get up and out quick. I mean, so it's the extra point field goal team has really done a nice job. We have issues, starting out the year. We have had no issues. We do a great job up front. The snap by Patton and the hold by Smith has been great. The protection up front has been great, and then their function. They are right there where they need to be as far as time when kicking the ball from snap to kick is outstanding.
You see sometimes you say everybody's brand new or something is brand new, and it looked like, I mean, he's a little bit taller than Zach was, but it doesn't look much different.
No,
and Zach is a Division I kicker, so I think
right.
we have another one on our hands right now for
yes.
sure. All right, that's the offense, kind of the midway point with the offense. When we come back from our last break, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the defense and see how they're doing and how Coach Shannon is getting along with his defensive players. We'll be back here in a few minutes.
We also like to thank the following sponsors for making this show a possibility: Absolute Aluminum,
Neo Communities, because where you live matters,
Sarasota Orthopedics Associates,
and E.T. McKenzie.
And a special thanks to Off the Wagon for hosting the John Peacock Coaches Show. And thank you to Jenkins Chevrolet, Find New Roads. And we're back here at the Venice High School locker room for our last part of the John Peacock Coaches Show tonight. And once again, thanks to all our sponsors, and again, thanks to Off the Wagon. They're doing their remodel for the year right now, and so go down there and check everything out. They got a really great facility down there. I mean, it's visually. You walk in there and it's got the TV screens.
I'm starving right now.
The food is good. So it's a cool place, and I can tell you that like I said, we thoroughly enjoy our time down there, and we do it on our taping. So we do appreciate everything that Tommy and his staff do for us. With that, Coach, defense for Venice High School, midway point. I'll just say one thing real quick. Youth was a big part of this. We've had some young inside linebackers, some new players in different spots. Secondary-wise, but everybody, a lot of talent. I think they may have had the most experience or got the most experience out of the last couple of games because
no doubt.
They have faced a lot of big dudes. I mean, between Plant and the Kickoff Classic with IMG and Jacksonville Trinity, they've faced it. They've seen it all in a very short period of time.
Coach Shannon and Coach Heyer and Coach Bartlett and Coach Wyline have done a great job. They are young. Coach Bartlett is probably one of the guys that's the luckiest because we are pretty talented at the back end, with Stephon Johnson and Elliott Washington and Chris George and Chuck Brantley. We are pretty special back there. The linebackers, like we said, we always talk about, we're able to move Rowan Foskin. That made us better. And Rowan's been making plays. Rowan's obviously a veteran and has a ton of game experience. So he's been really good for us, along with Zach Yallens on the outside. So those, as far as the secondary and the outside, we've been playing pretty well. Can't complain there. I mean, our youth comes from within the defensive line and the middle linebackers, and we are getting better. I think we didn't have a really good game against Trinity. A couple factors, we had, our main defensive lineman, Bruce was, Charles Bowens. We call him Bruce, but Charles Bowens, he had strep throat and could barely, get around, and he stepped up and he did the best job he could, but he didn't have his best game, and he was really. He was really fighting. It was bad. It was just, it wasn't one of those things like, oh yeah, he's sick. He was really sick and getting chills. But he fought through and played, and they had a good running back. They had a good running game. They had a big offensive lineman, and they kind of exposed us up in the middle. And I think if we replayed that, we'd play much better. Castaway and Ramos in the middle are getting better each week. So that's just going to be improvement, and they make plays in the backfield. It was a tale of two halves. I mean, we really played well the first half. I mean, it was 21-7 at halftime, and then obviously the final was 49-50. But we played a great first half, and just some things happened in the game, and I thought they were able to respond, and they were able to come up with a stop at the end. And a couple stops in the second half, but. You're playing a good football team. You're playing against guys. The receiver had, Florida offer and a Clemson offer. He could play. Yeah.
And what I've noticed, especially with the whole team on defense, effort and getting to the ball. Right. I just think that you see it. You see guys with that guy's got speed, or who see this, but yet you're seeing 3-4 guys there. Right. On the edge, you're seeing guys get to where they need to be. So that part of it, and I think we talked earlier about we thought that the back seven was maybe was going to be a strong point of the defense, but I will say this, that may be true, but it is a lot to do with the defensive line. If they can get things sort of worked out and they can maintain that line of scrimmage, it just makes everything flow a little better.
And they were there. The thing is, you watch the film and they weren't getting pushed around. They were there to make plays. We just didn't make plays. Right. So I think that experience and being able to watch that stuff on film, like I said, I think if we played that game again, those guys are making plays.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like I said again, it was challenging. I mean, you've faced running quarterbacks, you've faced pocket passers, you've faced all different. A myriad of stuff, and maybe not your normal high school athletes in a lot of cases. These are not run-of-the-mill guys. These are guys that are upper level at every stage. So, and I think that's going to be for some of these kids that are sophomores. This experience now, I can't wait to see them 5 games from now and 2 years from now. What they're going to be like.
I can't wait Friday night. I mean, we're not playing a national recruited team, and so not that Riverview's not good. I'm just saying we'll kind of be more level. More level playing field for us.
No doubt. With that, since we mentioned our place kicker with our offense, we have to mention our punter, he's had some really nice kicks for us. Last week, inside the 10-yard line on a couple of occasions, and then a big 54-yarder too. I mean, so it seems like Dustin Smith is doing a nice job,
and he doesn't practice. So that's one thing that we're we feel like we have a good weapon there. He can punt the ball very well, and he has been doing a much better. I mean, he's come a long way from last year. I mean, he has become a threat for us, so we're excited about that.
Well, you can see it in just the way the ball comes off his foot now.
Right.
It's a whole different height. It's a whole different everything. So again, kudos to him for making that improvement. And again, he's a big part of that. He's the holder on the place kick. I think that's one of the most underrated positions. Yeah. I mean, it looks like you have to be super fast, turn the laces. Everything how it goes into that, and to do that proper is on top of everything else is quite a feat, no doubt. Well, Coach, this is our one time to be in the locker room this year probably. So we'll be back at Off the Wagon next week with highlights of the Ram game. Hopefully it'll be a win, and we'll talk about some good things that happened in the game. But once again, don't forget to come out tomorrow night.
Yeah, get all your friends, get everybody you know, bring them out tomorrow night.
Yeah, we need everybody there because it's a big game locally. It's a big game for both teams, but hopefully it'll be a big victory for the Indians.
Yes, sir.
With that, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you here next week on the John Peacock Coaches Show.